I'm Emily Martin, and I play the role of Communications Specialist Lieutenant Abigail Jennings. In this episode, the captain and I have a conversation during our picnic where I bring up a popular question usually associated with the idea that the world is millions of years old.
By the way, I meant to tell you, I ran into an old friend the other day and she brought up a really interesting question. She asked me, why would God make the world look old if it's not? Wouldn't that make God look deceptive?
And what did you say?
Well, I didn't really know what to say. I just told her that the Bible says it was created in 6 days, a little over 6,000 years ago.
You know, I've never really understood that theory. Wouldn't it be more deceptive for God to say that He created the world in 6 days if He didn't?
Right. I wish I thought of that.
Well, maybe you'll get a chance to talk to her again.
The idea that the world looks old is really one of perspective or worldview. If I believe the Darwinian idea of evolution, coupled with natural selection, with the massive amount of time it would take to get from a single cell to a communication specialist, naturally I would see the world as very old. Or if I believe the idea of 19th century geologist Charles Lyell's uniformitarianism and the idea that the present is the key to the past, then naturally I would see a formation and assume it was very old. This idea has crept into the historical understanding of the creation account given in the book of Genesis. Some people claim that the days were not really days, but massive expanses of time. They believe the current scientific paradigm and interpret Genesis through that lens. Therefore they ask, why would God make the world look old if it really wasn't? Wouldn't that make God a deceiver? Dr. Henry Morris of the Institute for Creation Research puts the argument against this assumption best. He said, why would God say that He created the universe in 6 literal days in the text of the Holy Bible if He did no such thing? Wouldn't that make Him even more of a deceiver? The sad fact remains that many people would still put science over the Bible and use our very limited understanding of the created universe to interpret the book of Genesis. But what happens if our understanding of the universe changes? We would have to change our interpretation of the Bible. Science does not have answers to questions such as what happens when we die or why are we here to begin with, but the Bible does. Science is an ever-changing interpretation of facts, and this interpretation changes daily, so we cannot rely on it for the weightier matters of life. As Dr. Danny Faulkner once said, the history of science is littered with the wrecks of ideas that were one time considered to be true, but have long since fallen out of favor. Instead, we should believe the testimony of God when He told us where and when He created the universe. Only He was there, so only His testimony is true.